The FIFA franchise has been living in disgrace for a while now. Frankly, I don't remember the last time I played a FIFA game that I felt was good and was actually innovative and pushing the boundaries of the series forward. EA has just kind of been turning FIFA into a casino disguised as a soccer game and placing more of an emphasis on the monetization rather than actually evolving the game itself. And it is no different with FIFA 21, a game that has garnered a Metascore of 74 and a user score of 1.5, with a lot of people citing how this pretty much feels like the same game we saw last year, 2 years ago, with very minor adjustments and steps forward, but it's still a lot of technical issues that have persisted for a while now. It's just, there are so few strides that are being made with this franchise that it's becoming, frankly, tiresome. But if you think FIFA 21 on PS4, PC, and Xbox One are bad, well, here we have FIFA 21 Legacy Edition for the Nintendo Switch. It does not have many reviews on it. There's one review from news outlet IGN. They gave it a 20, and then the user score isn't faring well at all at a very low 0.3 user rating. And the reasoning behind this is that FIFA 21 Legacy Edition is more of a copy and paste than even the FIFA 21 that's being released for other platforms like PS4 and Xbox. It is literally the exact same game from 2019, just re-released with a different label. So this was information relayed by IGN UK. So this tweet right here is pretty savage. It reads, EA has copy and pasted FIFA on Switch for 2 years, so we copy and pasted our review from last year, but lowered the score naturally. This is the review that IGN released for FIFA 21 Legacy Edition, and at the very top here it states, seeing as EA copy and pasted last year's FIFA onto Switch again this year, once again saying it has the same gameplay without any new development or significant enhancements on its store page for the full price of $50, I've decided to do the same and copy and paste my review of FIFA 20 on Switch below as my review of FIFA 21. And in fact, this reviewer didn't even change the names here from FIFA 20 to FIFA 21. They literally copied and pasted this review right here, which is from April 28th, 2020, and it opens the same. There's honestly no genuine reason I could give you to purchase FIFA 20 on the Nintendo Switch if you already own FIFA 19 on Switch. Same opening sentence, there's honestly no genuine reason I could give you, yada yada yada, if you own FIFA 19 on Switch. So, taking a look at what the previous review had to say, it talks about how I don't generally share the sentiment of the crowd that label sports games as the same every year, but when it comes to FIFA 20 Legacy Edition, all of the comment section tropes are valid. For a series already drowning in microtransaction debate, the Switch version really doesn't help EA's case in currying gamers' favor by essentially offering nothing but a bare-bones roster update for nearly the full price of a full game, a macro transaction, if you will. FIFA on other platforms is already insulting enough with how similar they are to the previous entry, with such little progress made, where it feels like a patch would have serviced the game better instead of selling what is a half step forward, if even that, as if it were a completely new game, a completely new sequel at a full price. But the Legacy Edition for Switch, it's about as low effort as you can get, literally taking the exact same package with no upgrades whatsoever and pretending like it's a new game. As described by IGN's review here, FIFA 20's moment-to-moment gameplay remains disappointingly largely completely unchanged from last year's under-par outing, still running on EA's Ignite engine last used on the PS4, Xbox, PC version for FIFA 16. It simply can't compete with the fluidity of movement and authentically animated players the Frostbite-powered versions display. All in all, FIFA 20's gameplay on Switch appears to have been largely neglected when compared to last year, and especially when compared to its big brother. The only thing that's been upgraded for the Switch version is the roster. Everything else in terms of gameplay and the technical aspects of it are years and years old. How can a company get away with this? Can you imagine if, I don't know, CD Projekt Red released Witcher 4 and it was just literally Witcher 3 with a different cover? Can you imagine if, I don't know, Sony released God of War 2 and it was just God of War with a different cover. Now, IGN's review says that to EA's credit, it has been wholly transparent about the nature of this version, including a name change and being upfront about what Legacy Edition actually means. It promises the same gameplay innovation from FIFA 19 without any development or significant enhancements, as well as no new game modes, so basically a stripped back version of FIFA 20, and this is one part of the review that I wholly disagree with. EA is not being transparent at all. By labeling a game FIFA 21, you're saying this is the next version of FIFA. You're saying it's a new game, a different game, but the core of those games are all literally identical. Not even like a half-step upgrade from last year's, literally the exact same copied and pasted game. And sure, if you go to FIFA 21 Legacy Edition listings on the eShop or on GameStop or on a retailer, it does say right here that FIFA 21 Legacy Edition will feature the same gameplay innovation from FIFA 20 without any new development or significant enhancements. You've got to love how they put the word innovation in the same sentence as no new developments or significant enhancements. But the point is that this is only disclosed basically in fine print. You have to go to the website and read this segment here that you have to kind of scroll down through. The first thing that people interested in FIFA for Switch will see is that the cover says FIFA 21. The title itself implies that this is a new game, the next version of FIFA, and putting the label Legacy Edition doesn't really tell me anything. Just because they use the word Legacy, am I supposed to assume that it is a copied and pasted version of FIFA 19 and 20 and that I'm being ripped off? If EA were actually being transparent, they would label this game FIFA 19. In fact, they wouldn't have released a new edition of the game labeled FIFA 20 or FIFA 21. They would have just stuck with FIFA 19 and upgraded the roster via a patch or something. But instead, they're reselling the same game they sold last year at full price, $50. And keep in mind that the Switch version already is bare bones in that it doesn't have the gameplay innovations implemented in the big league version of FIFA 20. And hell, it's still missing some additions from FIFA 19. It already feels like they aren't even trying with the big league versions of FIFA, but with the Switch edition, they're just egregiously doing nothing. The review finally closes off with a few statements worth highlighting, like, without any major changes to the way you play the game, there just doesn't feel like there's anywhere near enough there to warrant a full release. Tacking the words Legacy Edition onto the end isn't enough for EA to get a free pass on this one. This I definitely agree with. And then finally, for the verdict, this year's subpar version of FIFA for Switch is almost indistinguishable from last year's subpar version of FIFA for Switch, and embodies every bad thing you've heard about sports games recycling their content year after year, almost to the level of parody. The lack of additions to FIFA 20 Legacy Edition outside of its new, more honest name. I'll say again, I disagree that there's any level of transparency here, or that the name Legacy Edition is informative in any way, shape, or form. And its refusal to innovate either on or off the pitch are disappointing, even borderline insulting. This is surely not the legacy EA had in mind. Oh no, it is. EA doesn't care about legacy. They just care about money. And so with FIFA 20 Legacy Edition, the score given was a 4 out of 10. With FIFA 21 Legacy Edition, that score has been brought down to a 2. Frankly, it should be a 1. It should be a 0. It's not a new release. It's not what's being marketed. FIFA 21 isn't actually FIFA 21, it's just FIFA 19 with an updated roster. And I did check, this FIFA 21 Legacy Edition review is indeed a copy and paste. The verdict is a little different. It says, aside from up-to-date squads, this season's kits, and a new start screen, FIFA 21 on Switch is virtually unchanged from FIFA 20, which was virtually unchanged from FIFA 19 before it, and outrageously priced at $50. If last year's release was borderline insulting, this year's is just plain disgraceful. EA, please do better. The level of savagery here is definitely appropriate for the kind of ripoff that FIFA 21 Legacy Edition is. And going back to FIFA 20 Legacy Edition, you can see that with 9 critic reviews, it's got a Metascore of 43 and a user's score of 0.9. This is last year's entry that currently stands as one of the lowest user-rated games on Metacritic in the website's history. So it is only followed up by Warcraft 3 Reforged with a 0.6, Tom Clancy's Division 2 Warlords of New York with a 0.5, and Madden NFL 21 with a 0.4 and a 0.2. So without counting the duplicate NFL 21s here, FIFA 20 Legacy Edition is the 4th lowest user-rated game in Metacritic's history. And FIFA 21 right now is well on its way to surpassing that with a user score of 0.3. So it is actually going to be sandwiched right between two versions of another EA Sports title. It's going to be between Madden NFL 21 for Xbox and Madden NFL 21 for PS4. It'll be somewhere between here. Now, if you go to the eShop, you will find that while FIFA 21 Legacy Edition is listed for $50, the previous entries, FIFA 20 Legacy Edition, it states that it's not yet released. Basically, it's been delisted, and same thing with FIFA 19 Legacy Edition. So you cannot buy the previous Legacy Editions on the eShop. You can only buy FIFA 21 Legacy Edition, which again, is just the exact same game. However, other game sellers and retailers like GameStop are not only selling FIFA 21 Legacy Edition at full price, they're selling it for $60, the physical edition, instead of the $50 for digital. But beyond that, they actually do still have FIFA 20 Legacy Edition listed on the website. So this is being sold for $30, brand new. And then right here is the listing for FIFA 19 on GameStop, which is being sold for $18, brand new. So there are other retailers selling these different editions of FIFA, and most customers won't know that they're literally exactly the same game. And even on the eShop, sure, FIFA 20 and 19 are no longer listed, but no doubt there will have been people who have purchased those previous editions, will look at the FIFA 21 title thinking, oh, this is a sequel, this is the next big entry for FIFA, when in reality they're purchasing the same game they already have for a second or a third time at full price. And the fact that they're doing this for a second year in a row, despite the backlash that they face from FIFA 20 Legacy Edition and how that was a copy and paste job. The fact that they have no shame in repeating this again for FIFA 21 just highlights the lack of giving a fuck and just how disgraceful EA can be as a company, especially their EA Sports division. All this is going to do is reaffirm people's notion that EA is never to be trusted and that the future of this company won't look bright until there's a change in leadership who are willing to enact changes and actually start to respect their customers and their community and their players and respect just the artistry of making games. Companies like EA are crippling developers' ability to fully realize the potential of a soccer simulation. I don't know what else to say except that this is just awful. This is a disgrace, and for a AAA publisher that rakes in billions, insisting that microtransactions and loot boxes and pay-to-win casino slot machines are necessary to fund their operations. We're talking about a company that's starting to raise their games' prices to $70. With all that money that they're making, this is the best that they can muster. If frickin' CD Projekt Red can port Witcher 3 over to the Nintendo Switch successfully, then I guarantee you EA could, with the manpower and resources and money that they have, port FIFA over properly to Switch if they tried. But that would of course imply that EA gives a damn about the integrity of their products. If their product can act as a monetization machine that keeps recurrently monetizing players and nickel and diming customers, then their mission is accomplished. Artistry or integrity be damned. This is one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on FIFA 21 for Switch, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.